Picture the most dramatic person you know, the one who always has a story, the one who notices everything, who remembers exactly what someone said 3 weeks ago and exactly how they said it, who tracks who is close with who senses a shift in the room before anyone else does. You probably think of this person as exhausting, maybe even a little toxic, but 30,000 years ago, that person was one of the most valuable members of the entire tribe, because social drama was not a personality flaw in the ancient world. It was a survival technology. Let's set the scene. You are living in a band of roughly 50 people somewhere in prehistoric Europe. There are no laws, no police, no courts, no prisons. The only thing standing between your group and total collapse is everyone's ability to read each other, to track who is trustworthy and who is not, to notice when someone is taking more than their share, to sense when an alliance is shifting, to feel when someone's loyalty is beginning to bend. In this world, social intelligence is not a soft skill. It is the hardest skill there is. And the drama, the gossip, the whispered conversations, the careful watching of who sits next to who at the fire, that is the intelligence network that keeps the whole thing from falling apart. Here is something anthropologists have documented repeatedly across hunter-gatherer societies. The average person in a small-scale traditional society spends somewhere between 60 and 65% of all conversation time talking about other people. Who did what? Who said what to who? Who has been reliable? Who has been slipping? Not because they are petty, because this information is the most operationally critical data available to them. In a world where you cannot run a background check, where you cannot look someone up online, where there is no record of anyone's past behavior, the only database you have access to is what people around you have observed and reported. Gossip is not idle chatter. Gossip is distributed intelligence gathering. The evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying this. He noticed that the size of the neocortex in primates scales directly with the average size of their social group. The bigger the group an animal has to track, the bigger the brain region dedicated to social processing needs to be. And when he looked at humans, our neocortex is dramatically oversized for our body, almost comically large relative to other primates. His conclusion was striking. Human brains did not get this big to solve physics problems. They did not expand to build better tools. They expanded primarily to manage the complexity of social relationships. We grew these enormous brains to keep track of each other, to remember who owes who a favor, to model what other people are thinking, to predict how someone will behave in a situation that has not happened yet. The drama did not emerge from our big brains as a side effect. The drama is what our big brains were built for. Now let's talk about what social drama actually did in practical terms. Because it was not random, it served very specific functions that kept the group alive. The first function was reputation tracking. In a small tribe, your reputation is your currency. It is more valuable than anything you own. Because your reputation determines whether people will hunt with you, whether they will share food with you during a bad season, whether they will help you when you are sick, whether they will defend you when you are threatened. Your reputation is maintained through what other people say about you when you are not in the room. And the only way that system works is if people are paying attention, if people are watching, if people are talking. The drama is the maintenance system for the reputation economy. The second function was detecting free riders. Every group has this problem. Someone who takes the benefits of group membership without contributing the costs, who eats from the communal food stores, but always has an excuse when it is time to hunt, who accepts protection from the group, but is mysteriously unavailable when someone else needs protecting, who borrows social goodwill and never repays it. In a modern city, you can be a free rider almost indefinitely. The anonymity of scale protects you. But in a band of 50 people who have watched you every single day for your entire life, free riding is nearly impossible to sustain because someone always notices. And the moment they notice, they talk. And the moment they talk, everyone knows. The drama is the immune system of the group. It hunts and exposes the parasites before they can drain the host. The third function was managing conflict without violence. This one is subtle, but possibly the most important. In prehistoric groups, open physical violence was catastrophically expensive, not just for the people involved, for the whole group. Because in a band of 50, you cannot afford to lose a hunter to a broken skull. You cannot afford to have two families refuse to cooperate because their fathers had a fight. You cannot afford the kind of internal fractures that open violence creates. So groups needed a way to manage tension before it became physical, and gossip did exactly that. When someone crossed a line, the group did not immediately confront them directly. They talked, they signaled through social channels that a line had been crossed. They shifted alliances slightly. They changed who sat next to who. They adjusted the warmth of their greetings. The person who crossed the line felt the social temperature dropping around them, and in most cases that was enough. They adjusted, they repaired, they came back into alignment. No blood spilled, no broken bones, no fractured alliances, just drama. Drama doing its quiet, essential, costly work. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Researchers who study the content of gossip in hunter-gatherer societies find something consistent. The vast majority of it is not malicious. It is not tearing people down for sport. The content breaks down into roughly 3 categories: information about who is reliable, information about who has been generous, and warnings about who has been cutting corners. It is almost clinical in its function. The group is constantly updating a shared mental database about the trustworthiness of every member, and this database is not stored in any one person's head. It is distributed across the whole group. Everyone holds a piece of it. Everyone contributes to it. Everyone draws from it. It is the original crowdsourced reputation system, running continuously, updating in real time, powered entirely by conversation. And now here is the part that should make you think differently about the dramatic people in your life. The individuals who were best at this system were not the strongest, not the fastest, not even the most skilled hunters. They were the ones with the sharpest social perception, the ones who noticed the micro expression someone made when a name was mentioned, the ones who remembered who had been generous last winter and who had been mysteriously scarce, the ones who could sense a shift in group mood before anyone had articulated it, the ones who knew somehow that 2 people were in conflict before either of them had said a word about it. These people were essential. They were the nervous system of the group, the ones through whom all the critical social information flowed, and groups that had more of them, that invested more in this kind of social intelligence, were better at detecting internal threats early, better at correcting free riders before they became a serious drain, better at managing conflict before it turned violent. They survived at higher rates. They passed on more genes, including the genes for exactly this kind of social sensitivity, which means the dramatic, perceptive, socially attuned person in your life, they are not a malfunction. They are a feature, a very old, very carefully selected, very expensive feature that your ancestors paid for with their lives across thousands of generations. Now let's be honest about what happened when this system got carried too far, because it could, and it did. Social drama becomes destructive when it stops being about accurate information and starts being about power. When gossip stops tracking who is genuinely trustworthy and starts being used to strategically undermine rivals. When the reputation system gets captured by whoever is most skilled at manipulating it. When drama stops being the immune system of the group and starts being a weapon aimed at specific targets. Anthropologists document this in small-scale societies too. It is not common, but it happens. And when it does, groups have mechanisms for dealing with it. The manipulative gossip, the person weaponizing social information for personal gain, gets treated the same way the overconfident hunter gets treated. They get called out, they get deflated, they get brought back to level, or they get cut out entirely, because a corrupted immune system is more dangerous than no immune system at all. So what does all of this mean for the world you actually live in? Here's what I keep coming back to. Modern life has stripped out most of the context in which social drama evolved to function. We live in cities of millions. We interact with strangers constantly. We have genuine anonymity in ways our ancestors never did. The reputation economy that gossip was designed to maintain barely functions at this scale. And so the ancient instinct for social tracking, for watching, for noticing, for talking about other people, runs constantly in brains that evolved to apply it to a group of 50 people. In a world of 8 billion, the result is that the dramatic instinct fires constantly at inputs it was never designed to process. The reality show drama, the Twitter conflict, the celebrity scandal. Your brain lights up for these things the same way it lit up for genuine tribal information 30,000 years ago, because your brain cannot tell the difference. It just knows. Social information, process immediately. This matters. Pay attention. You cannot turn this off, but you can point it somewhere real. The social intelligence your ancestors spent millions of years developing, the instinct to notice, to track, to read, to remember, is most powerful when it is pointed at the people who actually matter to your actual life, the people you actually depend on, the people who actually depend on you, the small group, the real tribe, not the parasocial drama of strangers performing for cameras, but the quiet, essential, ancient work of actually knowing the people around you, noticing when something has shifted, saying something when it needs to be said, repairing things before they break. That is what the drama was always for, not entertainment, survival. Here's my question for you. Think about the most socially perceptive person you know, the one who always senses things before they are said, the one who remembers everything, the one who honestly probably drives you a little crazy sometimes. I want to bet that when things actually go wrong in your group, that person saw it coming first. Tell me if I'm right. Drop it in the comments.